It is time that we had a talk. A real talk.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Real Talk Live. We have a new guest with us again, someone that I have wanted on the channel for a long time. We have Mr. Two Star Wars Nerds. How you doing, man?
Hey, I'm doing good, man. I always love that intro. That's so sweet, man. That's so sweet.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I found the timer on YouTube and I just put a banger song on it.
Dude, it works. I'm like, that could be like 5 minutes and I would just enjoy that timer. That is so sweet.
Yeah, thanks, man. So before we get into anything, I just want to say congrats on hitting 500 subs. That is your most recent feat, right?
Yeah. Thank you so much, man. It's such a trip because, we've said it, the missus and I, we started just to kind of just do what we normally do, talk about Star Wars and figure out some technology stuff along the way. And we're like 25 was like insane to us. We're like, there's no way 25 people would subscribe, right? And so it's humbling and it's a trip. Like it's weird that people are actually interested in hearing us talk about Star Wars and play Lego Star Wars poorly and all that, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, because how old's your channel now? I took a look at it today. It's under half a year, right?
Yeah, so I think our first video was technically like April or something, but it was just a dumb meme I made to show a friend. But we started making videos a little regularly when the Bad Batch started. So I would say like 3 months.
So
That's
what inspired you to start your channel and like really like take it seriously?
Well, what inspired us to start it, I wish she could be here, but with the little one, the missus, it was like the biggest inspiration. It was like her idea, like through and through. And she's like, man, this would be cool. Like if we did this. And, we had talked about it for maybe like a year and a half. I feel like we talked about it for a long time and just never did anything. And then I saw on Reddit there was this graphic designer from Sri Lanka. If you guys anybody's in the X-Wing Discord and you've seen the swing meme, the same guy who did that did our logo, and I felt so bad recommending him. But anyway, found this guy. He made us like a $25 illustration of us, I guess, and we loved it. And we're just like, hey, let's just talk about some Star Wars stuff, and pulled the trigger. But then what kept us going is when people actually started interacting with us and we got to know people through YouTube and through the internet and Discord a little bit more. And, even getting connected with like X-Wing and Obsession and guys like that. Like that's kind of what kept the ball rolling.
Yeah, it was what a game changer starting to network. Like I've been YouTubing since because I talked about my other YouTube channel and I started that one years ago, and I was for like 6 years by myself doing that channel, and then I was doing Star Wars and I was by myself for like another year, and it was only within like the past few months I actually started like connecting with people, and it's just like, holy cow, this is actually a lot of fun now.
Dude, and you're such a trooper for doing that. Like I think what's been hard for us, we've really had to push ourselves to make sure it's like that we're still focusing on why we started the channel, to just talk about like what we love in Star Wars. And it's easy to just like be like, oh, this is just so cool, like talking to people, and it's like I won't know what it's like for 6 years to do that, man. And that's like that's part of what inspires us too. It's like there's people like obviously huge YouTuber Theory will talk about like he did it by himself for years and all this stuff, and that's the kind of stuff. It's like, man, that's really awesome, because it's you got to be serious about it to do that.
Yeah. What kind of content do you feel like you enjoy making the most?
The stuff I feel like there's two things I like the most. I really like gaming, but I'm terrible at gaming. I used to be so good when I was younger, but like in high school and stuff. I just suck now so bad. But I do enjoy that just because I like the interaction with people while playing, and that's stuff I watch a lot anyways.
Yeah.
But I've been really enjoying learning more about stuff in Star Wars I didn't know about. Like just these like random deep dives into topics and planets and stuff like that. Right now I feel like that's what I'm really enjoying.
Yeah. And that's something like I've been doing that more now, also like having a channel and having an audience. You just feel that kind of responsibility to become knowledgeable in this thing that we're supposed to be experts in.
Yeah.
And it's stuff that I probably would have never looked into or inquired about before. Like I had my niche favorite interests, and now I'm challenging myself to listen to audiobooks and stuff, you know, things that I would never do before.
Yeah. So what would you say your favorite interests are? Like those things where it's like, obviously you do a lot of stuff, but it's like those things, if you could just stick to those few, what would you do?
If I could stick to one, well, kind of what my channel's always been like is just kind of, well, I called it Real Talk because my first videos that I made were just me. I would rant about a subject and I would do some editing and throw it up there. I do really like that format of just kind of unfiltered blasting my opinion. If you like it, you can subscribe. Like I didn't care if anyone watched my channel when I started. I just made it because the pandemic started. I moved away from my hometown where all my Star Wars friends are, and I was going nuts. I needed to talk about it. So I really enjoy that format. But the problem is that when there's not a lot of Star Wars to talk about, there's just not a lot of content to make.
Yeah.
And I don't want to. I'm just not the kind of channel that's going to do a breakdown on every single episode of a new TV show. You know, it's just, I like to talk about character arcs, the emotions involved in Star Wars, people's experiences, you know, the things that really energize and motivate people. That's interesting to me more than a lot of the trivial facts and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And what's so interesting about that as well is like, we chose like starting with Bad Batch because there were times where we're like, hey, well let's get a video out, and we didn't, right? Or it's like, oh, we felt like we missed this or these different things because we were trying to use like momentum of something happening.
Yeah.
And so then when the Bad Batch came, I think we missed the first episode, so we were like a week late, and we did it, and basically, even when we were starting that, it was kind of like the first two were really cool for us. And then after that, it was kind of hard to do like that week to week talk when it was like, okay, I don't really know where this is going. I don't know how much I can talk about like episode 3 or something, you know? And so then we started really going backwards. I'm like, well, let's go back and talk about why we like the prequels. And, then just started like, okay, well, let's go through the OT, and then let's go into all these different things in the Clone Wars. And so we're still kind of, once we cover everything, so to speak, in Star Wars, then I think that's where it's going to be interesting, because then we got to figure out, okay, now we can't just like keep recycling the, hey, here's again why we love the Phantom Menace. You know, a year from
true.
Now.
But that's good. This is like you are laying a foundation on your channel. You know, you're getting all your opinions and feelings out on all the movies, and then you can move on.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you. I'm glad you went that route.
Yeah, and it's been cool, and the missus is like really good at like keeping us grounded in that. Like, and especially like in anybody's Discord, typically you'll see she's the positive one. Like I can be positive, but typically I have the more negative bents and views.
Yeah.
And like she's been really driving to just keep us like grounded and talking about what we like, and why we like it, and being fair about things when we don't as well, but avoiding that trap of all of a sudden it's like, I got to talk about everything that's bad because I mean, we're such noobs to everything YouTube, you know, and it's like, that's the stuff we found, like the most popular stuff of ours. It's starting to change, but the most popular stuff that brought a lot of new people was the overly negative stuff, you know, and it was there's a temptation to be like, oh, well, how about I just start talking about everything I hate then?
It's so easy.
I know.
Yeah.
But like you said, it's hard when there's like a lull, like we're waiting for stuff to start coming out.
And it's like we almost need stuff to just be out for a while. You know, we need to sit on the stuff and marinate on it for a while. Like I didn't make any videos until I think 9 was done, not intentionally. It's just I really needed to take that time to be like, how do I feel about this? Because everybody's so conflicted. And when it's just episode week after week, you're just processing the last thing and then you're getting the new thing already. It's gotta sit.
Yeah, for sure.
So what drives your passion for the prequels? Like why does that stand out to you so much in the Star Wars universe?
You know, a few things. I think I have no shame in saying there's a lot of nostalgia in it for me. So that's the stuff like I watched the original trilogy when I was little. Like my dad introduced it to me when I was super young. But then I started I went and saw The Phantom Menace in theaters, and that was, I mean, I saw other movies, but that was like a big deal for me as a kid, and like getting to see those other ones, episodes 2 and 3 growing up. So like in some of my earliest formative years, I have these big memories about like, whoa, I get to see something cool like Star Wars, you know. And I remember as a kid, I would be playing on my front porch with like Naboo starfighters and, you know, Slave One and all this stuff, you know. And it was just cool to be able to like blend the new stuff I was seeing with all this old stuff that I had been watching as well. But so I'll just say first, that is a huge drive. You know, I know that I can't say it, that doesn't influence my opinion. But then when it comes down to the prequels, I actually didn't really like them that much. Like when I got into like high school, like I liked them as a kid through middle school, and then high school, for some reason, I started kind of backing off. My best friend loved them. And then it was when Keely and I, when we got together and dating, she loved them, and I started re-watching them, giving them a chance, honestly, from her, because I used to be like, okay, I didn't really like 1, but I would watch episode 1. I would skip episode 2. I would watch episode 3 because I loved Revenge of the Sith. But then the more I started watching them, I'm like, the politics are amazing, like the fight sequences, and like I just ended up appreciating them a lot more. And then when I started getting into like watching Star Wars YouTube, and you know, even before that, getting into Reddit a lot, find out it was kind of divisive. People either loved the prequels in a really insane way, or people seemed to hate them. And I was kind of oblivious to all of that. And so then I just found myself aligning with that camp that loves them. And so all of those things have kind of stacked over the years. And then just dedicating time to making videos about it has just like poured fuel on that, I feel like.
Yeah, reignited it.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
How interesting is it that we grew up in a time, because you grew up with the prequels, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
That we grew up in that time where we just got to have the 6 movies for like most of our lives.
Yeah.
And like there was no fans at each other's throats, really. It was just the people that more grew up with the OT favored the OT. And it made sense to us because other stuff was new. It just, there wasn't so much content being blasted at us and opinions and thoughts and reviews and breakdowns. So we just got to develop our own feelings and opinions, go on with our lives, and just watch them and not be influenced by other people.
Yeah, it's so it is so crazy because there's you know, there's people I've talked about, even, you know, family members or things like that, you know, different people who do Star Wars YouTube or people online, and even people who like casually like Star Wars, where they're like, my best friend now, not the same best friend from high school, my best friend now, he's very much in the camp of like, there is no bad Star Wars. Like if the Star Wars name is on it, it's default amazing. And I try just not to go down that road with him because I'm like, I value our friendship too much, and I don't want to like open up any floodgates, right? But he was talking about him watching the prequels, and he's like, oh, Hayden Christensen was insufferable. He's so annoying, so this. And the age difference between us is interesting. Even though he's my best friend, he's I think like 20 years older than me. And so even that's interesting, just because that generational difference. He just watches it through a different lens, you know, because he did go see. I think he saw episode 6 at a drive-in when he was a kid, so not in theaters, but
okay.
So still, that was like him, and then he was well into his 20s when the prequels came out, and it just didn't connect with them. But I mean, I'm glad I was born when I did, or when I was, because it's been sweet having all 6 just right there all the time.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of envy those people that are just like, they just watch them, and they, like you said, they have a different lens, and they're just good with everything Star Wars. It just, to me, it kind of feels a little bit just like just consumerism, you know, just take it in. Don't ask questions. Don't think about it. Don't complain about it. And I don't know how to, it's like, if I'm going to talk to somebody and they're going to be like that, like, dude, it's just Star Wars. Just don't worry about it. It's like, okay, we're not even going to go surface level. Like, I'm not even going to ask you what you think about anything, because you probably, like you said, you probably don't like Hayden Christensen because that's what everybody says sucks about the prequels.
Yeah.
You know, you're probably going to say something about the CGI because that's what everybody says. You're probably going to like the sequels because everybody says to give them a chance, you know?
Yeah. And it is so funny, just because like, what's hard for me, the temptation I have to fight with the prequels is saying that they're perfect and that they're amazing. I'm not in that camp. I do not think that they are like 100% perfect movies. I think they do have their flaws, and you know, maybe that's heresy for someone who makes Star Wars videos to say, you know, but it's like, but even through that, there's maybe like 2 movies that I would say like, this is a perfect movie. There's nothing wrong with it. And
like, of Star Wars movies,
just in general, like Empire Strikes Back would be a perfect movie for me. Even though it's unique as a sequel, you know, like it's a second act to a story. But yeah, the prequels to me, even Revenge of the Sith is close, but it's not there. But that's not to say it is like a 10 out of 10 for me. But then what I found hard is there's a lot of people. I'm friends with people who hold that those opinions that you even said, where it's just like, oh hey, well I remember when these came out, everybody complained about this, and it's they just don't care enough to look at them like a little more objectively. But then at the same time, it's like, I'm sure there's people who like, I'm not a big fan of the sequels, and you know, I'm sure there's people who love them where they probably feel the same way about my opinions. They're like, I don't get how you don't see how much I like this, you know?
Yeah.
And so like you said, I always have to be careful when I start talking Star Wars with people, just because it's like, I don't want to start getting too crazy, and people are like, whoa, like it's just Star Wars, you know?
Yeah, you don't want to just overwhelm them. Like, my wife is also very into Star Wars. Like, when I started dating her, I noticed that she had a Boba Fett keychain on her car keys. I'm like,
nice.
Okay. At the time, I was a little bit of a normie, more. I don't know how to describe myself. I was just above average, maybe, of a fan in terms of how much I loved it. But then as the sequels came out and I started to really develop an opinion about this, I noticed that she and other people, they're just kind of fine to be in a bubble where everything's okay, you know, and they just want to go watch a movie. They don't want to break it apart. They just want to enjoy it. And that's been something I've had to learn to respect. You know, if you enjoyed it, then I'm not going to poke your bubble.
Yeah, and that's there's like, what I found too, on that note, there's kind of like these 2 groups of people. There's the people I love, like how you described your wife. They're just like, when it's like, hey, I just like these. They're just movies for me, right? They can be escapism, entertainment, whatever. It's like I'm not looking to break them down, and for whatever reason, just that isn't there. But then there's that other group where it's like, no, I want to poke your bubble.
Yeah.
I want, you need to see things the way I see them. And what's funny is, my wife Keely, she's really I always say that she's like the bigger Star Wars nerd. I would say if it comes down to like an IP or a lore, like Lost is like my wheelhouse.
Like Lost the show?
Yeah. That's
Ooh,
like
cool. That's interesting.
That's like I that or The Office, just because I've watched it like a billion times. But
Yeah, I'm doing my fourth watch right now, so I feel you.
nice. And but yeah, so what's funny, with that is she usually is the one who gets more fired up about stuff because she's been like X-Wing says, like she's been like a sweaty since like day one. Like
Yeah.
from I was just kind of like casual, through my childhood. I really liked Star Wars, like loved Star Wars actually, but it's not probably until my 20s that I started getting intense about it. And she's been like that since she was a little kid. So it's
Yeah.
awesome.
That is really cool. And I if we have time for it at the end, maybe I'll poke your brain about Lost a little bit. But
Yeah.
I like when TLJ came out, and I was very bitter about that for a long time. And I would try and talk to her about it. I'm like, you see this video about Mark Hamill? Have you seen what he's been saying?
Yeah.
Have you seen this news that came out? What Daisy Ridley said? And she's like, shut up. I don't want to know this stuff. Like, this is going to ruin the movies for me. I'm like, oh shit, I am actively ruining people's Star Wars experience because I'm bitter.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's so what's funny, and I won't talk about any spoilers because literally Bad Batch just ended, but all I will say is I liked the finale. I personally like rating it against other episodes. I gave it like an 8 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
I loved episode 1. I thought episode 2 was cool, and then I was like up and down. Keely was a little more like central, kind of like, okay, where I was like, either I really liked it or I really did not like it. And then what I started doing, and we actually stopped covering them because basically I was getting too negative. Because
I can see that, man. Totally.
All I was doing is I was just like, I just don't get it, but like you said, there's enough of that going around where it's like, yeah, let's just ruin people's Star Wars experience, and especially people like, hey, I really like what you have to say about this topic. Not that we have to like pander to everybody's opinion, but it was quite interesting to start thinking about that and be like, maybe, and part of it too, like you said with the sequels, maybe it's best to like let the whole series finish before I start making all these definitive statements about things. And so, yeah, man.
Yeah. I do kind of envy these people that made YouTube channels after The Last Jedi, because that's when Star Wars on YouTube exploded, because everybody just had to talk about it. They had to get their thoughts and feelings out there. And a lot of these channels that are really huge now, they all started just by bashing the shit out of the sequels.
Man.
And man, to be in that time, to just be unfiltered and just let everything fly, because that's what everyone's doing, and all these channels exploded, because that's, as fans, that's what we wanted. It fueled our own fires. It'd be like, yeah, he gets it, she gets it. And whoa, what a time to be a Star Wars fan. Holy cow, dark days.
And what's so funny is, I've been watching YouTube content for like a really long time, and I like, in terms of Star Wars YouTube content, I've been regularly watching it for maybe a year and a half, like around Mandalorian, right? So there's random stuff I had watched, but I just really didn't know how much Star Wars YouTube content was out there. And I remember like it was really interesting because when we went and watched episode 8, we watched like the midnight and stuff, and after we watched it with Keely's family, and afterwards we were all like are we just like tired? Like, did we see all that? You know, because you can't rewind it. You can't go back
Hmm.
and see what's going on. So we're like, nah, I don't think that happened. We were just all so confused. And so Keely and I actually went back the next day and rewatched it. We're like, okay, we're not foggy. Our mind's clear. Like, we had to have misunderstood the movie.
Yeah.
And we watched it. And, I mean, just for us personally, it just kind of bummed us out. And then now seeing like what you just described, these channels that started around that time, it was so interesting that it's like I felt that same way in the little bubble of my world without that kind of influence. So it's quite
Mm.
interesting I could see why channels would just blow up. And like I've heard the stories where like overnight, like 100,000 subs, like insane things would happen to people, and it's
Yeah.
crazy.
I like you described that walking out of the theater because I feel like I don't have that experience of like the Phantom Menace tenting on the sidewalk. Like I don't have any experiences like that. But I will never forget my walk from the theater to the car after The Last Jedi and just being like exactly like you described. Like, so Snoke is dead now? So Luke is dead now? Like, why? What did that serve the story at all? And I was just
Yeah.
like,
And what's so crazy, like as an adult, my two most, I would say maybe my three most memorable Star Wars experiences. The first was actually the Force Awakens. Force Awakens. I loved the Force Awakens when it came out. I full on knew it was fan service, and I knew that they were just redoing the same stuff from the OT. You know, using that very circular way of writing. But it's like, I don't know. It was just so cool as like an adult to see some stuff. You know, and
mhm,
I had so many questions, and so I will never forget that. I honestly don't really watch it much just because of what it's attached to, but the other one
mhm,
is what you and I just described with that post theater walk, you know, with episode 8. Um, but then the Mandalorian, um, I I remember when that came out and it was going to be like every Friday it was being released, and I'm like, why is it every week, man? I don't want to wait every week to watch this. I just want to binge it. And I remember like the first episode, I was like, as I went in cold, I didn't know anything.
mhm,
And I was like, this is legit. Like, this is so good. And then, like, episode 2, and that started getting me really excited again because, like, my excitement level was going this way. And then it just kind of, like, started to pick back
mhm.
up. And so, I still have it's not that long ago, but I have vivid memories, like, in our bedroom watching The Mandalorian and, like, waiting for it to come out so we could watch it. And it's, it's interesting, like you said, because we don't have that camping out, waiting for the prequels and stuff. Like our experience has been a very unique one in adulthood.
Hmm. Yeah, the Mandalorian was like a AED in the Star
Yeah,
Wars universe. It brought us back.
yeah.
How did you feel walking into episode 9?
Um, I think I was a little mixed. I wanted to have I guess I wanted to have this expectation that it would all make sense.
Mm,
But that's when I started looking a little more into the news about like I'm like, wait, director's changed on episode 8, and I was like, no, JJ's coming back for episode 9, and so I was starting to see the behind the scenes stuff more,
mhm,
and so part of me was like, I don't know if it's gonna be good because I just feel like it was kind of a mess behind the scenes. So going into 9, I had to actually put the bar really, really low for myself just because I was like, I didn't want to be let down. I wanted it to be awesome. I was like, maybe this will
yeah.
all make sense. And I literally remember, and if anybody likes episode 9 here, I'm sorry, but I don't hate it, but I just literally remember being like, this can't be for real. And like the whole last scene, like with Ray and Palpatine, and I've actually only seen it once, but I just remember that whole last scene. I was just like, this is not like this can't be for real. Like I felt like I was being punked, you know.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I think I had the same experience you did. Like I had that moment where I'm like, oh, things are not good behind the scenes. Like this mess. There's a mess behind the scenes of these movies being made, and it's just like this is not good. But again, I was just really hoping that episode 9 was going to be better. And but I went into it exactly like you did. Like I set the bar low. I'm like, I don't care what happens in this movie. It just needs to make everything make sense
yeah,
because episode 8, I don't know. And then I just remember like JJ started retconning stuff from the last movie. And I was like, yeah, JJ, yeah, put the helmet back together. Yeah, you
yeah,
show him. And then the movie ended, and that like short-term joys that I got from the retconning was like immediately like filled with sadness because I'm like, oh, so they took an entire movie to undo everything from the last movie, and no story has been told. Well, I'm
yeah,
exaggerating, but you know what I mean.
yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't it leading into episode 9? They did that Fortnite event with like the Palpatine voiceover, where like people knew Palpatine was back.
Oh yeah,
So when we were talking, I just remembered that. I totally forgot about that because I think I found out about that on Reddit because like I had played Fortnite, but like I wasn't regularly playing it, and I think I told Keely something about like they basically they used like Fortnite to announce Palpatine's coming back like before the movie. Like they literally like spoiled it. I don't know
I
if they
didn't even
meant.
know that was a Fortnite thing.
Yeah, if I remember right, it was Fortnite. But yeah, I just remember that. I'm like, what the heck? Like, it just felt so weird. I did like what you mentioned. I did like how JJ actually, like, basically was like, I don't like what you did, Ryan Johnson, you know, and like undid some things. But then as like at the same time, it just felt like a tug of war. Like they're like,
Hmm.
no, I want to go this direction. I want to go this direction. And those of us in the theaters were like, what the heck? Like, what just happened to us?
Yeah, and it's interesting to have experienced this because I feel like Star Wars is such a titan in the move. Like it's what's the way you describe it? Um, it's like a dynasty. Like Star Wars is the biggest thing
Yeah.
in movies ever to exist. Like it's the biggest moneymaker. It's whatever. It gets all the eyes. And just to watch it, how it was fumbled, it's just
Mm-hmm.
like it's kind of monumental. Like I don't know if like it's they've definitely learned their lesson from this. Like you can tell,
Yeah.
but the care and the attention they're putting into it now. But it's just like, man, I feel like we lived through a war. Like I don't think we will ever see anything like this again.
Yeah. It's pretty wild, man. Like, I wasn't, I know that there's like people who were in their like 20s to 40s, I think when the prequels came out, they had the whole thing with like the people versus George Lucas and
Hmm.
and all that kind of stuff. But then again, it's like part of the prequels too is just like that's that's a story George wanted to tell. Like for better or for worse for people, like he's like, this is all my money. This is all I'm doing everything basically, you know. And he's like, this is exactly what I want to tell. And so I actually don't have many, if any, problems with the prequels. But for me, it's like, okay, I can respect that as the person who created it. You do your own thing, and George really has just kind of been like, I want to tell my story. And so then when we kind of fast forwarded to things changing hands, maybe there was that same mentality, but then it wasn't in the same spirit, you know, of Star
Hmm.
Wars. And so then it's like you said, I just remember having thoughts of like, could this be the end? Like, could there literally be a time where no more Star Wars is being made? Like, how wild would that be? But things as of recently actually have made me a lot more hopeful because there's some cool stuff.
Hmm.
You know, there's some cool stuff moving. You know, it feels like a mixed bag, but I feel like it's going up for sure.
Yeah, I feel like I'm filled a lot more with hope than I am with bitterness.
Yeah.
Because after episode 9, I just felt like Star Wars was dead, like
Mm.
it's over. But yeah, a lot more hope with, especially with the projects coming up. I'm actually really excited for everything. Well, for
Yeah.
most of the things.
What would you say the one you're most excited about is?
Well, I feel like Kenobi is the obvious answer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I of all the projects coming out though, uh, I mean, the Book of Boba is going to be good. I think I'm really looking forward to Visions, and I know that I'm in the minority.
Mm.
All the other projects, I think the Acolyte's going to be good, but a lot of I want to see some new stories from different eras. Like the OT is fantastic, but I feel like we're getting a lot of stuff from the OT right now,
Yeah.
and like everything always is surrounding the Death Star and the Rebellion. I feel like I kind of want a bit of a break from that.
Yeah.
That's why I'm excited for the stories that are not about that.
Mm-hmm.
What about you?
Um, you know, for me, I think the biggest thing is like what Strike just said. For me personally, Book of Boba. That's that's the one I'm personally most excited for. Um, I don't know, man. I've just always loved Boba Fett, and I think there's just so much that can be fleshed out in Boba's life. That would be
Mhm.
really cool to see in live action. I know that there is the very interesting direction. I think a lot of us sweaties are trying to figure out where it's like, what's the end goal with all of these projects over the next 5 years? Like a lot of people theorizing, uh, that Kevin Feige kind of direction of the one big bad, even with the statements about what was it, the cinematic event? That's what they called it. That it would all culminate in the cinematic event. And so it's
Can remind me who Kevin Feige is?
MCU.
Oh,
So
okay.
the guy who did all of that, just basically, I just see like across the mediums of, okay, you have like the TV shows and you have the movies and books and all this, and it's all pointing to one thing.
Mhm.
And that's what I'm curious what that one thing is. Um, I have my own thoughts. I hope it's not what they gave us right when they took over the IP. I hope it's just kind of like around that to something different. Because like I want to see stuff that we haven't seen before. Like, it's really cool to take stuff that we know about and to dive deeper into that and to flesh it out more. But it's like, it would also be cool, but risky to just take us somewhere in the galaxy and like take us out into the outer rim and just show us some wild stuff, even if it's in the same time frame. Or,
Mm.
you know, um, like go back to stuff that's not pre-existing, like, because I know, so let me preface it this way. I've read a lot about the EU and I've watched a lot about the EU, but I'm starting to actually read all of that source material myself. And um, the consensus I would get from reading about it and stuff like this is basically, a lot of EU content keeps coming into newer Star Wars, but it was just
Mm.
kind of tweaked and changed. Um, but I would love to see stuff that is like that never existed.
Like
Like,
not EU, not anything.
yeah, it's like I would love, because I mean, at the end of the day, I'm gonna like it or dislike it, but I would love for people to take big risks and be like, we're gonna stay away from Skywalker. We're gonna stay away from the people we've seen and heard 1,000 times, and like
Mm.
give us completely brand new, completely detached in another part of the galaxy. Because everything seems, like you said, everything seems to be myopic around the Death Star and Skywalker, and it's like there's so much more that we could
Yeah,
cover.
that's that's why I'm so excited for Visions,
Yeah.
because it's completely new stories, and there's going to be, I'm already forgetting, 9 of them, 8 of them. Yeah, 9 of them, I think.
Okay.
Um, and they're all different stories, and I'm so excited about it because at first I was kind of bitter that they weren't canon, but now
Mm,
I'm just so happy that it's. I think that it's going to do so much for the Star Wars universe, telling 8 or 9, I think it's 9 different stories about Star Wars with no strings
mm,
attached, and they're
yeah.
probably going to take the best one and give it its own show. Um, yeah, how are you feeling about Visions?
I I feel neutral, and I'm excited for. I think I'm excited for one in particular because of the art direction. I think
Hmm.
it was the Duel. That's the
Okay,
one
yeah,
that looked really dark and gritty. If I remember right, that
yeah,
one. I mean, just visually, that one looks really cool. Um, I'm going in neutral just because it's like this is very interesting. You have these people who are very successful storytellers getting a chance to tell a Star Wars story, and like you said, completely detached from not only canon but from pre-existing characters. So I really don't have like a bent either direction. I'm going in just kind of like, let's see how this goes.
mm.
Um, and I really like anime, so I'm
Oh, you do.
yeah, and so it doesn't bother me at all. And I know that there was the I can't remember what it's called, but there's the TIE Fighter anime, that fan one that was
Oh
done.
yeah, yeah.
And like that was super cool. Um, but I think the only like to be fair, I think the only question I have is like I know like Jabba and Bosk and Boba Fett are in like the trailer for it.
Hmm.
And so that was the area where I'm like, is that cameo or are you taking because the Jabba one looked like it was Jabba at the like Bunta Eve. Like it
Mm.
looked like it was that area.
Yeah, it did.
And so it's like, is it just kind of a launching pad where it's like, hey, here's a story but did you know this person? And they,
Mm.
so it's like that could be really cool. Um, so that's kind
Yeah.
of where I'm at, and especially when Boba showed up, Boba's like the button you can push with me, and so when he showed up, I'm like, please don't do my boy Boba wrong, please.
Well, when you say button, do you mean like interest button or like panic button?
Both.
Mm.
It's a little bit of like pretty much all Boba stuff I get really excited for, but then it's also like just do it right, keep Boba. Uh,
Yeah.
like I know for people, like maybe this helps. With some people who really love Lando, they didn't like the direction Lando has taken, or they really loved Han Solo. That's like their guy. They didn't really like the direction of Solo and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And so, it, for me, that's kind of Boba. Like I just get it so excited when Boba's on screen or on the
Hmm.
page. But then it's also kind of like, okay, we have a non-canon Boba story. Like I'm interested to see how that goes. But he looked awesome. I
Yeah.
think visually it's going to be insane.
Yeah. I have a feeling they're just gonna sprinkle them in here and there to be like, hey guys, we're on Tatooine. You know Tatooine, right?
Yeah.
But what a what a time to be a Boba fan, man. I
Oh
just
yeah.
remember all these years of just people who liked Boba, and you'd say, "Why do you like Boba?" Well, you look cool, and that's really all that they had to say. But now we had him in Mandalorian, getting his own show. He's making an appearance in Star Wars Visions. He's
Yeah.
just all over the place. It's crazy, man. The most like unappreciated character is just totally getting the spotlight. He's getting more of the spotlight than the Skywalkers are.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And that's I think it could be so cool like if I mean even if let's say they want to stay like okay, we want to stay in the era of 6 to 9 movies or whatever, right? It's like how about you take those you don't have to go super deep, but it's like why don't you take those characters that like haven't really been fleshed out and like start doing stuff with them, and that's why I think like I'm excited for Kenobi, but I'm also a little I don't know if worried's the right word, cautious maybe,
Mm.
because I'm like I want it to be so awesome, but I also it's so weird that I feel like I shouldn't put my bar up high for Star Wars. You know, it just doesn't feel natural, but that's kind of where I'm at. And like, I don't want to go into something thinking it's going to be everything I've ever dreamed and hoped for.
Hmm.
But then at the same time, I don't want to slip into letting my experience with like 2 movies ruin all future Star Wars content, you know?
Yeah, I think my bar was super high for the sequels. I mean, with Episode 7, set the bar super high. I felt it was good enough, and then after TLJ, I just feel like you said, I have trust issues, man, big time.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, yeah, it's like a bad relationship where it's like, why do you keep doing this to me? I just love you so much.
Self-destructive cycle.
Yes.
And we're scared of our perfect perception of Ewan and Hayden and Star Wars, that being shattered. I think that would do so much more damage than the sequels did. So I can see why you're feeling cautious.
And you know, it's so interesting too with Ewan and Hayden because um, from what I've gleaned online, they were not kind of the celebrity status that they are now with prequel fans. You know, I feel like over the years with constant memeing and like appreciations and all of this, like they've become like superstars, you know, to prequel fans. And for both of them to be coming back and continuing that story, like I don't know, in my mind I'm like it has to be good. Like how could it not be good, you know?
Yeah.
That's how I feel, but then like you said there's that trust issue where I'm like please, I don't want episode 8 in Kenobi or something, you know, like
Well, that's the
oh
thing.
man.
We know Mark Hamill is Luke Skywalker. How could they possibly screw that up?
Yeah.
You know. So, anyways, very very hopeful about it. I'm very excited about it. But
Yeah.
um, do you think that the memes, the prequel memes, like really? Do you think that they encouraged people to give the prequels a bit more of a chance? You know, did it revive
Hmm.
something you think in like the Star Wars community? Because those memes were like absolutely nuts for a couple years.
You know, I've never honestly thought about it that way because I've always thought it was kind of self-serving and it's just kind of got the people who liked them to like them more and you found this very large group of people that I'm a part of online that just eat them up and love them. And like dude, I remember like are you on Reddit much or are you on prequel memes much and stuff?
I'm not in the Reddit scene, but I'm following like 1,000 Facebook pages that do all the
Okay.
same stuff.
Do you did one ever start coming over there about where it was like every day a new lightsaber was added to Grievous? Do you ever
No,
see
I
this
haven't
one?
seen that.
And it went on for like a ridiculous amount of days, and it was just so over the top.
Mm.
And there's like people where literally they're going through and like every single line of dialogue they're turning into a meme, and there's just stuff like that where it's like I find them funny, but when I'm thinking about the prequel memes at the beginning, I think maybe it did pique people's interest to go and watch the meme movie, you know?
Mm.
Because it's even hard for me to watch Revenge of the Sith now. Like, when I watch it, I just see it's like meme,
I
meme,
know.
meme, meme, meme.
I like to think it's because it's a thing out of love, and
Yeah.
you know how well we know the movie that we know the lines. At least that's how I try and look at it. Because otherwise, it's just like you either look at it that way, you look at it like these memes of poison these movies.
Yeah, and I for sure find it very positive. Like the holiday special, I watched it in its entirety. Man, just like a few months ago, maybe like 6 months ago or so. I think my wife was actually maybe still pregnant or something. I don't know, but anyways, we watched it recently, and there's so many memes about the original holiday special, and
Hmm.
that movie is the worst. It is
Oh yeah.
so bad. Like it just physically makes you uncomfortable watching it. And those memes, I'm like, that movie deserves to be memed. That should have never been
Hmm.
made, you know. But
Yeah.
then like the prequel memes and even OT memes, you know, they're okay, but I feel like it is out of love where it's very strange, but you know, I don't feel like it's necessarily making fun of
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so. This I'm not sure. I've made a video on this. I've met Ewan McGregor.
Oh wow.
He was in my city's airport for whatever reason, and we were trying to figure. I had a feeling it was him because it was him without. He didn't have the beard, right?
Mm,
His hair is very long and done back, and I wasn't totally sure. Because it's just like, could Ewan McGregor be in my airport? You know, like you're just like it couldn't be. But then as I'm like thinking about like how I'm going to approach him, because I'm definitely saying hi to him, you know,
yeah.
I had to actively stop myself from saying hello there because I just like I knew that he
Oh,
probably wouldn't find it funny at all. Um, and then what I did want to say was because he I go through security, I go through all my stuff, and then I go to my gate. Ian McGregor's sitting on a chair at my gate. I'm like, he's on the same freaking plane as me. Okay, so I got to think about that the whole flight. And then as we were coming down, I just wanted to like walk by him, put a hand on his shoulder, and be like, "Another happy landing." But I just didn't know if that was going to be like, "You annoying ass Star Wars fanboy, get the fuck away from me,"
yeah.
or if
Oh
he'd find
man.
it funny. But it's like the memes are so ingrained. It's crazy.
Yeah. And there, dude, there's times where I'm emailing people for work, and I intentionally start with hello there, you know,
Hmm.
um, and I'm like, I don't think any of these people are picking up what I'm putting down, but I almost use it. I can see how not saying it to you, and I would be like the same way, be like, all right, play it cool, you know. Uh, but yeah, there's times where it's like it comes out in my natural speech too, and then I'm like, maybe I look at these memes a bit much, you know.
Yeah.
Um, what's funny about uh, Keely and I's relationship as well? She has managed to live a very pure internet life in terms of like there's like certain things she's interested in and she like stays there, and so in a very good way unaware of just like sometimes just the craziness going on
Mm.
all across the internet. So there'll be times where I'm like, oh hey, did you see this? Or I'll like make reference to something, right, that's just dumb. She's like, the heck are you talking about, you know? And where it's like, oh well, I've just realized like I've made this like you said, it's ingrained from all this time on the internet, just watching stupid memes and
Yeah.
just
Uh,
like cracking up. And
have you ever dropped a Star Wars one liner somewhere and there were just no Star Wars fans around, like no one got it, and
oh yeah.
you're just like, what have I become? Like I just this is a part of my vocabulary now. Like I just drop a Star Wars reference, no one laughs at it. I'm just like thinking to myself, like, is this who I am now? Like,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, I have done that on many occasions, and it is just like, okay,
yeah,
it is what it is, you know.
even
Because
even my wife, Star Wars fan, is just right over her head. It's like literally, there's one thing and now there's two things, and I say, oh great, now there are two of them, and then no one gets it. I'm just like, I'm a dumbass.
oh man, that's great.
It's funny how the Star Wars community comes together in such weird ways. Like it'll be prequel memes. It'll be we come together over our hate of something, over
Hmm.
our love of something. We just come together in just the weirdest ways. But if there's one thing that I can say about the sequels is that it brought us all together. Like the majority of us, we came together to hate, to talk about whatever. It just exploded growth in the community. So I'll always be grateful for the sequels for that.
That's it's funny. Like, imagine you making a video and you're like, "Why I'm grateful for the sequels," and that's the direction it was. People would be like, "What?" You know, like sequel fans. But no, man,
Yeah.
it is very interesting. You know, so this is what's weird. Like, I know I've been on forums long enough and YouTube long enough to understand the comment section, especially of YouTube, like the larger your channel gets, and I guess the more traction videos gets, the
Mm.
more negative they become. And this is just like a cesspool, you know? And that was part of us actually kind of like hesitating to starting a YouTube channel, because especially like whoever we'd be watching, if it was like, you know, he's more news, but if it's like Drunk 3PO, or if it's like
Mm-hmm.
Theory, or even if it's like Lore Star, or these different people, you know, Generation Tech, watching these guys and looking at their comments, it's like, oh, that's got to be exhausting, you know, like to see this all the time. And so anyway, you know, we're just making videos and there's nothing. And so May the 4th, right? It was like biomes and the fly through. That's what was released. And there was all the buzz about a bunch of cool stuff's coming out, all this. And so anyway, we were like, hey, we need content. We had like 2 videos at the time. So we're like, let's just make one about biomes and make one about fly through, literally just to have that video count number go up. Like no one's going to watch this, right? Dude, I guess it's cool because it's watch hours and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But that biomes one for us to date is still like our largest video, like the most watched and stuff. And I just remember it just started like the actual like biomes trailer was recommending it just because of the algorithm. And it's not a positive review at all of biomes. And
I gotta check that out yet.
I had no idea what I'm doing, right? So, but what's funny is, it's not like we're bashing sequels. It's not like we're bashing High Republic. It's biomes, you know, and if you've seen it, it's just whatever.
Yeah.
But some people were deeply offended that I didn't like biomes, and people were saying like we're what's wrong with this generation. That even though it was just me on the screen, that my wife and I have the attention span of gnats, and people were like, no, you're wrong. This is objectively good. And like, I'm like, this is nuts, man. Like, I'm like,
For biomes, eh?
biomes out of all things, right? And so that's why like things that bring Star Wars fans together excites me, because I'm like, maybe it's just like a human condition thing, but it's like, man, people will find whatever they want to just tell you you're wrong and all of this. And it's so the stuff that is bringing fans together, that excites me, just because it's like a biomes video should not be divisive for people and become offensive. It's bizarre.
What a community we have, man.
Yeah.
At each other's throats over biomes.
Yeah.
I lasted about 2 minutes into that, and then I was just like fast forwarding. I'm like, okay, something gonna happen? No. Okay, I'm done with this.
Yeah, and it essentially like what I said was like I think, and I was so proud of myself for the title. It was like the Planet Earth, or the B film Planet Earth no one asked for, right? I was like,
Gotta check this out.
I'm so proud of this. And I mean, I was saying things basically just like, you know, it'd be cool to have like narration and maybe like a Planet Earth style.
Yes.
Because when I'm watching it, I'm expecting more to come, and it just never came. And
yeah, like a parody on Planet Earth.
Yeah, and it's like, but then I started thinking, like, I've wanted to do this, but I just don't know that I have the time or editing skills to do it. I'm like, it'd be really cool to legitimately have like a prequel edition, like Planet Earth, like take all the pre-existing footage in the prequels of landscapes and animals and stuff, and like add some narration to it and like explain things. But that's the thing where I'm like, I just don't know that I have the time to like commit that. But that's kind of what I was going into it thinking. I'm like, okay, like it's not really what I wanted, but this will be cool. And then I was like, well,
yeah,
that happened.
That'd be a fun project.
Yeah, and who knows? Maybe they'll do it. Maybe someone else is already working on it or something like that. But
Hmm.
I think it'd be cool to watch because that for me, I was like, I would actually watch that. That would like I love Planet Earth. So
Yeah,
a Star Wars Planet Earth, dude, that'd be awesome.
I think that would be like pretty. I feel like low budget for Star Wars. Like even if it was like animated style,
Yeah,
like the Clone Wars, like how easy that would be. Just get one narrator and a script writer and just bang that stuff out.
yeah, for real.
Yeah, that's what Biome could have been, I guess. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so we've hit an hour, and I do want to respect your time here, and I'm really grateful and happy you came on. You're a really interesting dude.
Oh,
Uh,
thanks, man.
I've always kind of been I've listened in when I lean in a little bit when you're sharing your opinions. So I thought that you would be a fun guest to have on the channel.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I mean, this has been like a lot of fun. Wow, it's so crazy to me. I think I told, obviously, like you've kind of probably seen, X-wing and I and the misses and obsession. We do a lot of stuff together, and
Hmm.
I think I told X-wing last night. Maybe I'm like, it's such a trip that that like I didn't know you existed a few months ago, and I feel that same way. Like even the in between brief interactions we've had, and even the stream, it's like it's so awesome that through Star Wars we're able to connect like this, and like you said, how you did for 6 years, right? Like did it on your own, and it's like it's so cool that I mean, out of all the things in the galaxy, Star Wars would start bringing people together like this online. It's super cool. So anyway,
Yeah,
thanks for having me, dude. This has been a lot of fun.
yeah, man. Yeah, thanks for coming on. Do you have any projects or anything that you want to plug?
Yeah, sure. Basically, what we are doing right now is we're going to start going through characters specifically in relation to individual movies and talking about like what we love about them. So, we'll be like Anakin in The Phantom Menace or like Padme in Attack of the Clones and things like that. So, we're going to
Mhm.
look at characters not on like a large scale, but we're going to start doing it like movie by movie, medium by medium. And so that's something we're starting up soon, and just hoping to have fun and try and like you're talking about how not defending the prequels, but like what keeps that going there. Really trying to look at that with characters that usually just kind of get the boilerplate, they suck or the acting's wooden or all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah,
I mean, I'm excited for that.
yeah. I think any new angle that you can use on the prequels is appreciated because I think a lot of that main stuff has been covered. But it sounds like you've got some unique angles to offer. So I'm looking forward to that.
Awesome.
Okay, man. Thanks for joining me. I'm gonna boot you off, and then I'm gonna do my outro. I
All right.
appreciate you coming on, and I'll see you next time, man.
All right. Thanks so much for having me, man.
Thank you guys for watching another episode of Real Talk Live. I will take this moment to shout out the winner for the Discord challenge. As you guys know, we did our second Discord challenge, which was the Build a Team challenge, and the winner of this challenge was Lord Crit. Lord Crit will be added to the Hall of Fame channel in the Discord, so you can look for your digital award there. And thank you for everyone for playing. I think we had 12 entries, so it was super cool to see what how everyone would build their own personal Star Wars teams with a point system and stuff like that. So stay tuned for the next Discord challenge. I don't have a plan. We'll just when I think of something, I'll make one. Also, I take this opportunity to shout out. I started a new YouTube channel because the YouTube gods do not want to monetize this one for whatever reason. It is a gaming channel. Um, all of my live gaming content, stuff like that, edits about Fallen Order, Battlefront 3, all that stuff's moved over to that channel. So the link is in the description for that, as well as the link for Two Star Wars Nerds. His link is down there. Go sub him if you haven't. I know a lot of you guys watching the stream are from his Discord, but go check him out. Go show him some love if you haven't. All right. That's all I got, guys. Thank you so much for watching. May the Force be with you, and I will see you next time.